Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live source. We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. We are here to talk about Shift the Field Live. So, I'm Darla Ledoux. I'm the founder of Source. I will be the coach and guide and trainer for Shift the Field Live. I'm here with Ashley Woods, who is a member of Team Source. She is our lead coach. She will also be at Shift the Field Live, and she'll be both sharing within the context of the event and also support structure during our event. So you can get her on chat and whatnot. Ashley and I were talking about the event. It's coming up February 17th to 19th. And we were talking about the energy building. So on our team, our focus is, full speed ahead to February and Shift the Field Live. And we're super, super excited about it. And we feel the energy building and the transformation of the vibration of the businesses of those who attend. That's what we're really holding. And our promise is transformation confidence. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that means today. But I just wanted to let you know who Ashley is. She'll be here having this conversation today. And then we invited Rhiannoch and Jess Lenny, who were both attendees at Shift the Field Live, to come and share about what they took away and their advice for anyone who's registered for the upcoming event. The upcoming event, February 17th to 19th, as we go to the end of the year and into the new year, it's like knowing that you have that on the books for February should give you a little sense of like, okay, I'm held, I'm supported, I know this is, all going to be okay in 2022. And so I asked these ladies to come and share a little bit about why that's true and what you can look forward to. So I'm going to start with Ashley. Is there anything you want to say to be present? And then we'll give Rhiannoch and Jess Lenny the floor here.
No, I feel here. Hold on, let me check. No, I'm good. I'm ready for
it. By the way, anyone who isn't familiar with our work here at Source, that's kind of how we do things, right? Let's check. Let's pause. We check in with our intuition, with our inner knowing, because that really is the guide. And when your inner knowing is the guide to the way you run your business, things are so much more smooth. So with that, we're big advocates for transformation here at Source. Transformation is getting a new awareness that permanently shifts the way you show up and interact with life. So both Rhiannoch and Jess Lenny are magicians, which is what we call people who facilitate transformation using their inner knowing and their sourced gifts. So two different magicians in different lines of work. I guess my first question for you ladies would be, just knowing the promise of the event, transformation confidence, what does that mean for each of you? Jasmine, you want to go first?
Sure. Oh man, that's a big question. Transformation confidence. So I guess I'm thinking back of actually checking in. It is a very internal, very personal, very solid knowing of like, yeah, I feel different. And more so trusting that there is something there and that this different feeling isn't something you're making up in your head, but rather feel in your whole body.
It's hard to explain transformation, right?
Yeah. You move different, you walk different, you talk different. For me, especially, there's boundaries there of what am I willing to tolerate that I was before that I'm not now. What am I welcoming in that I wasn't before that I am now?
I love that. I love that. Well, we're going to ask you those questions in a little bit. I feel like I want to highlight the fact that transformation is hard to explain. This is one of the things that we're going to cover in detail in Shift the Field Live. This year, we've even elevated our content. Day 3 is actually going to be all about that. Right? We're marketing something intangible when we're marketing transformation. Not only is it intangible, but it's hard to explain. Yeah. And so how do you cultivate a commitment to transformation when it's hard to explain? And we're going to give tools and practice that on day 3 of Shift the Field Live this year. So super excited. Rhea, how about you? When you think about transformation confidence, what does that mean for you?
Well, I think for me, it means like when I'm inviting people into my world to come and work with me, is that, and when they kind of say, why should I hire you? I'm kind of going, I have confidence, it might not be 100%, but it's like, it's solid enough. It's like, I know the territory, I can walk you through it. I know the pitfalls. And I know what's possible on the other side when you shift your energy, when you do the deep transformation work, and then that comes out. And that comes from experience, because when you're working with magic, you're kind of going, I don't really actually know how this works. I just know that it does. So it's having that, like, I can share enough stories that this is how it works to walk you through it. But there is a magic in there, and understanding the steps, of transformation, that there is a method behind the magic as well, so there's that, and that's the bit that you can explain. You kind of say, okay, you clear this stuff and you activate these new energies and you commit to showing up in new ways, and voila, you will be transformed.
Voila, you had your magic wand there, right? Yes. It is kind of like that. And on day 1 of Shift the Field Live, just like last year, we're going to ground you in the foundation of, which is the anatomy of a transformation, which is in the book Shift the Field, which is understanding the steps that really can help, bring a knowing that the magic will happen. And so I love that you brought in the magic. And you have experience. You said, with experience, you start to have that confidence of, okay, when someone steps into this container, they will step out, like Jazz Lenny said, walking different, showing up different, getting different results. And you just know it. In the beginning, you may not just know it because you think you know it, or maybe you've had your own experience of it, but you don't have the experience working with clients. And so the anatomy can help bring that confidence of, as a practitioner, as a coach, knowing that this is going to happen, and I'm curious for others. I know for me, when I was trained as a coach, it was very much like, this is what you do in a session, right? These are the questions to ask. This is what to do in a session. But for, in my experience, the transformation happens in the container over time. Rather than just that individual session. And knowing you come in the container and you go out the container different, for me, that's transformation confidence, because it doesn't happen in a session. Did anybody else have that? Like, oh, here's what to do, here's how to have a conversation with someone, which is, feels different than a container. And I think, Jess, Lenny, your business is totally different as a designer. And a brander, right? Like, it might be a logo project versus a transformation project.
Yeah, it's funny because before Shift the Field, I had never considered how much intuitive and transformation work is layered in my relationships with my clients and in the work that we do. And I agree that it's not necessarily something that happens with one project, with one conversation, with one logo design, certainly. But it is that combination of what I've noticed in identifying who do you want to be, taking inventory of where you are now, where do you want to be, and how do we bridge that gap? But I'm thinking about Shift the Field Live and how I was so fortunate to have the live coaching. And in that one conversation, Darla, you definitely did something to me. So
Hold on, let me get my wand.
so while it does take time and integration and processing and doing the things, there are certainly conversations, there are certainly moments that can be really impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, that's so perfect to put into this space, because with Shift the Field Live being in February, people can use that as a container, right, between now and then. So it's not just the one conversation or the one time you raise your hand, right? So we do live coaching, we do breakout groups, we do certain exercises, and all of that is actually designed to move you through a transformational experience. So it feels like it was the one conversation, but it was actually the whole container that led there, which is awesome.
And if I may add, the container and also the community, like even on Facebook, being able to support each other and oh my goodness, when you shared this, that really resonated with me because of this, and so that sense of you're not alone, and actually a common feeling that there's something about that that's very validating and grounding and beautiful.
Totally. And it's an amazing community, I have to say. It's a really amazing community, and it creates a lot of safety for the vulnerability of transformation as well, and the uplift at the other side. Yeah.
Yes. So I want to ask each of you about you. I just wanted to check in. Ashley, anything present for you?
Well, I've been watching these women since then. And when you ask Jaslyn about transformation confidence, I'm over here like, oh my girl, you have owned. Like, I think that I'm present to how you related, Jaslyn, how you related to yourself as a designer at one point, and now you really sit in the seat of someone who provides transformation for people's brands. It's a completely different offer. How it's packaged is different, how it's priced is different, how it's delivered is different, and who you be in the matter of it is distinctly different.
I have chills everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like your confidence in your ability to facilitate transformation is part of what Darla was asking about or speaking to. And I've watched it, come into a full form, and it's really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know that one of our other clients who you worked with had a multi six-figure launch. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
amazing.
Yeah, no words, just incredible.
Yeah. And I bring that up because, as a designer or a marketer, it's a different brand than coaching, right? It's like Rianak, you came in like knowing you deliver deep transformation. That's just part of what you do. But maybe for some people, they don't relate to themselves as being that. And so to see that shift is just, really beautiful.
Yeah. Actually, Ashley, I just want to say, for anybody who wants to invite a friend but isn't sure if that friend is the right fit, or they themselves are not sure if this event is for them, I actually signed up for the event because I liked Darla's book cover. I saw the book cover show up on my Facebook feed, and I thought, oh, this is nice. And then I went on the website and I'm like, oh, beautiful website. And so the designer in me, I thought to myself, in the name of beautiful graphic design, I will attend this event.
That's great.
To see what it's all about. And reading through the content, I actually felt, okay, maybe this isn't for me. I'm not a coach. This isn't my line of work. But everything is so beautiful that I'm curious, and I just want to see what there is to see. Now, after the event, and certainly after the coaching and the integrating, there's definitely a coach in me. And there's definitely a lot of transformation in the work that I'm doing. And I love that I get to do that with design. And I don't think I would have ever recognize that or piece that together had it not been for the event.
Yes.
Even though it's technically supposed to be for me.
I love it so much. So I think some of my very favorite clients over time have been people who do different things, right? Like massage, or Dr. Davia is a chiropractor, like, but have a magical presence. And so Bonnie, who's a past client of ours, she was a hairdresser for years, right? And like there's a coaching aspect to doing hair, right? There's some hairdressers that are magical. And so, yeah, if someone is in a service-based business that you don't think is transformational, yet people just tell you things, or you get visions for people, or you find yourself saying something to them that you know it's not your advice, it feels divine, like that, those are clues that you're actually meant to be, we call it a magician, right? That you are a magician and that you could be actually charging for that in your work. Thank you. Okay, so I want to go to, tell us a little bit about your business, where it was before Shift the Field Live, and then we'll talk about what happened and what happened after. So I'll start with Reenak.
So I was offering coaching, and I had was doing well. I had enough clients, but I was wanted to shift into delivering groups and online groups, and just find myself that I was kind of overdoing and doing a little bit too much for my clients and overgiving a little bit. So wanted to go from one-to-one to the one-to-many, and also I had a vision that was in a very acorn stage at that point of using poetry for transformation, rather than just coaching. And so, so the goal was to, how can I, be more sourced in my business. So, work with my intuition, in my business, not just in my sessions, but in my business, and expand to offer groups and really, do that with confidence, even in something that was new for me. So, And
amazing. I love that. And so you, since my first book was Retreat and Grow Rich, I worked with a lot of people in the process of shifting into groups and how that's different. And then talk about the acorn seed of poetry at that time, because it's like, that's who you are now. Talk a little bit about that.
I had just started doing, my weekly lives to my group. I had just started doing what I call poetry dives, where I would speak some poetry as part of the live, and sometimes just focus on that. And people were just loving it. It was getting more response to that than anything else that I did, and they liked the other stuff too. And then I created a challenge called the Poetry Breakthrough Challenge, where I did that every day. And initially I thought, I'll just share a few poems to illustrate the teaching. But then the energy that was coming through when I was speaking the poems, people were getting the transformation just from that. And that was really powerful. And I was like, oh, wow, I can do this in a Facebook challenge, really, and it feels like a retreat. So it was just this energy that was coming through in the poems.
Can you speak to that a little bit, Reenak? The energy that was coming through, because I think people may feel that when they're doing their work, but not know to name it as a magic or to really understand how it's working transformationally.
Yeah, and I think what I've always known for myself is that, when I speak a poem from a deep place, a poem that I've worked with and embodied myself, it just shifts the energy. It shifts my energy. I light up like a Christmas tree, so I'm like, wee, in my zone and happy. And when I share that, people, they like it and they like to listen to it. But so what I know now, knowing more about the magic and the transformation, is that I'm actually shifting, I'm shifting the field, I'm shifting the vibration, not just for myself, but for everyone that's listening. And what happens is then they can access their own deep knowing. They can access their own feelings. If I'm, speaking a poem that's helping them to get clear on their next steps, they can drop in and feel it, from speaking something that's activating their courage, to be visible. They're kind of like, oh yeah, I can, their whole energy is shifting. And so what wasn't available to them before is suddenly available to them in that energy. And so they're getting all these ahas and all these insights that they can take away that are really, really valuable. And it's very natural. It's very easy for me. So I was undervaluing that before because I thought, oh, well, this is just what I do.
Yeah. Yes. So often we undervalue the thing that comes most naturally and easily. And then, I also want to highlight, and for those of you who haven't read the book yet, by the way, I just shipped books to the people who have purchased Shift the Field Live. If you purchase before the end of the year, you get to gift a free book to a friend, or you can gift it to yourself. But I literally wrote the notes to the friends, and it was so fun, and they went in the mail. So some of you will be getting them shortly. But if you've read the book, or if you haven't, I talk about the anatomy of a transformation. And so your Facebook group and your challenge in the group is in the commit stage, right? So it's in the stage where you're marketing transformation. And so what we learn to do is how to use and design around your magic. So Rhiannon, when I think of you, I think vibration magic all the way. Right. So when you use the words like transmitting energy, that's a vibration magic. And then when I hear you talk about sharing it in this challenge, you're getting them present to, like when they're in that vibration, they can access the desires that are present that they can't access from the head or from their old vibration. So in the commit stage, right, it's desire and discomfort we're exploring to help decide if that's the only reason someone would commit to transformation, right? There's a desire that's greater than their fear of seeing the truth. And so you're helping them access desires that they just can't access from their old vibration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had, sessions on, get connected to the visibility blocks and, the habits of hiding, what's been in the way, as well as, activating the, the powerful self that has the confidence to shine. And there's some amazing poems for that they just get it straight away. There's not like, I don't have to lead them through meditation. I just have to go, okay, phenomenal woman, or I will not die and live life. And they're just going to go, woohoo, I can see myself doing that thing. It's very potent, way.
And then there's a process by which you choose the poems.
Yes, exactly. So for the challenge, and also when I work with people in the longer magnetic presence program, I'll do a personal poetry prescription for them. So I'll help them, depending on what their intention is, choose the perfect poem for that journey and for that experience of both going in and facing the old patterns and activating the new ones. And it's really powerful to completely shift their energy. So, and it's one of the things I love to do is choose poems for people.
Yeah, I can feel like the juiciness of that. Like Ashley and I met yesterday to do some planning, and it's like, ooh, yes, we know magic's going to happen here. I love it. So Rhiannon, you mentioned your private and your higher level coaching, the magnetic presence. So talk a little bit about if you were to distill down in a way that we know, what you got at Shift the Field Live, and that people listening can kind of get a sense of what to expect or how to set their intention. What would you say happened for you at the event that made a difference?
Well, one of the big things I got present to was the old pattern of I'm not enough. And inside that, showing up as overgiving, doing too much, and not kind of being really focused on my thing. And one of the things that really shifted for me is like, okay, I can really bust through that old story in a big way. It was a big energetic transformation. I felt like, it was one of the biggest shifts that I'd had in a very long time. It's like, whoa, I could really feel that there's a whole new energy available to me. And inside of that, I was able to get really focused on creating my thing, creating my challenge, creating my program, enrolling 11 people into my first program and delivering that in a way where I was doing a lot less overgiving. I was letting it be really simple. And it was actually even more potent than, if I was given too much, people actually would get a bit confused. So it was easy for me. It was more powerful for them. And the transformation was really incredible. So that was like, oh, I can let it be easy. I can work with what's most potent for me. And it's even more valuable.
Wow. So if anyone here is relating to that overgiving or doing too many things, a lot of times it's too many programs, too many offers. Yes, set that as an intention. And Reenak, what would you say it was that helped you let that go and claim, we over here, we say a lot, make it your masterpiece. What is it that allowed you to let go of all the things and actually lean into your thing?
Well, I think it was, it was that shift in I am enough, from, and the new energy, from not enough was kind of being, relaxed, centered and focused. There were the kind of new sourced energies that I was bringing in, but it was that, owning my magic and kind of going, I don't have to prove my worth anymore. And it was the commitment to that transformation. But there was an energetic shift that goes beyond words, that it was just like, oh, I can feel it now. I can feel it in my whole system, that I don't have to operate in that way anymore. And it was just like, this was the old familiar way of being. And now it's like, oh, that doesn't fit me anymore. So
I love it. You embodied that.
Yeah.
And Ashley, I'm sure you can speak to that, the embodiment of the energy. Oh, I muted you though.
It rearranges when we actually get a possibility that rearranges us sort of at a cellular level. Points back to what Jaslini said. We show up, we walk different, we carry ourselves different. We just fundamentally something moves inside of us. And Darla, you talk about this transformation as this permanent shift in how you see the world. It's like you're just not interacting with the same world anymore, and it shows in how you move. So
yes. I'm thinking about, I don't have to prove my worth, I can feel it. And the simplification that comes, I could go on and on. I'm so passionate about this. So someone could say, oh, I feel like reading a poem, and they could read a poem and it would be like, oh, I read a poem, nothing happened. And then they would move on with life, right?
Yeah.
Or you can get this knowing I'm drawn to work with poetry, and you can embody it in your being. And you can hold the container, right? So you created a challenge to start, and then your program that is a container for transformation with the intentionality for transformation.
Yeah.
And within that container, then the poem is the tool.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, I'm going to read a poem. It's like, no, we are in this experience together through poetry.
Yeah.
And that's, you had to say, I don't have to prove my worth. I can feel it and embody that for that intention to be met.
Yeah. Yeah. And have that transformational confidence that, I'm inviting you into a program where, you'll choose and work with the poem, and it's going to change your life. Yes. It's not just, you can go, buy a poetry book and or find something online and it'll be nice. It'll be a nice experience, but it won't change your life. And that comes from creating the container, and knowing how to create the container and how to help people to, make that commitment and get clear on their intention and create safety so that when they show up and do the extremely deep work that reveals all the old stuff and activates all the new stuff, that they that they're fully present to that and committed to that process, and there are many magical tools out there. This is one of them that I love, but it's the container that creates the transformation and the intentionality.
100%. Yeah, people put out lots of amazing content without intentionality, right? And it lands different. It really, really does. Someone watching on Facebook says Rhinox's poetry work is so magical. If anyone's watching, you're leaning in, definitely go follow Rhinox, get in her free Facebook group. She does lots of magical things in there. So Jasleni, your work is one-to-one versus group. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your work as a graphic designer before and now.
So before Shift the Field, and Rhinox, so much of what you said, it's right here. And I think a lot of us can relate in some way or another of over-delivering, of doing too much, of having all these old stories that we're carrying with us that are just weighing us down. I can completely relate to all of that. And so the way that showed up for me was in doing too much, working with too many clients, saying yes to everyone, and doing so from a place of fear. If I say no, then I won't have the clients. And if I don't have the clients, then my business will fail. And if my business fails, then and so this domino effect. And for me, what I got at Shift the Field, yes, it shifted my energy, but it was in recognizing what those stories even were and what I was holding on to that I didn't even realize I was holding on to. And we did this exercise where we compared how much it's costing me to live this way, to think this way, to live this way. And I realized this is so expensive. I am paying financially, emotionally, energetically, so much for something I don't want and that doesn't make me happy. So how did that change from now? I went from doing too much with too many people at a time and feeling burnt out. And also, I'm the kind of person that I want to give you everything. I want to do my best. I want to give you beautiful, gorgeous design. I want you to walk away super happy. And if that means losing sleep, I will do that, right? And so my clients were really, really happy, but I was completely depleted. And I remember at one point wanting to cry, but I just didn't have time. I had like things to do. And so I had time for one tear, and it was, okay, back to the computer. And I'm thinking of Darla imitating my busy emotion, which is totally this. And so I went from that, right? From that angle, it looks like I have it all together because I'm pumping out beautiful work, but from this end, it's, killing me, to after Shift the Field, going back to a lot of my clients, most of my clients, and saying, I'm really sorry. I'm going to wrap up, what we're doing right now. But beyond this, we're not going to work together anymore, and sort of parting ways. And that was so difficult for me. But I felt that I needed to do that because those relationships were enabling me being the busy bee and me paying so much and having this really expensive lifestyle that wasn't making me happy and expensive energetically, right? And so I went from that to now being super selective about who I work with. And that, I think, goes back to the transformation confidence, right? I don't need to be afraid that if I say no, I won't have any clients, I won't have any business. Instead, I'm saying no because this doesn't feel in my heart like this is the right connection. And in doing that, opening so much time and space to work with the people that I am supposed to work with and that I can make a huge impact with. And that feels amazing. Yeah.
Jasleni, how does your magic show up in the way you work with the right clients?
I think in recognizing and identifying what's there for them. I work a lot with people in identifying who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? And let's design your branding, your website, your marketing materials from that place. Not from what you think you should and what you were told, that none of that, but like, how do you want to show up, and designing from there. And so there's a recognition that happens there, and people will give me their answers. Well, I think that I want to, and I'm like, you're lying. I can tell that you're lying. So I'm going to ask it again. And so asking those hard questions and being playful and also firm in, I'm not buying it. Give me something else. Right. So challenging them in that way. And then, recognizing, and I used to, honestly, I was recognizing this before, but I wasn't implementing it. I was giving people what they wanted, what they were asking me for, but not what I could see that they needed. And so now I'm like, okay, I know that you said you wanted this, but this is what I just know that you need. And so I'm showing you both, and you choose which one feels good for you. And it's always, oh yeah, I see that. And so that recognition and the confidence to speak it out loud and to deliver it, I think that's how my magic is showing up. I know that's how my magic is showing up.
That's amazing. So what she's speaking to is what we call recognition magic. And that is recognizing truth, recognizing patterns, right? Like, so this magician, you're picking up on things about your client that, could be just sensory, things that they've said at various times, or what you see on their social media compared to how they show up. Like, all of those patterns are being synthesized in you to where you know what's true, and you recognize it when you see or hear it. So I love that you're leaning into the confidence of that. And then the other thing, what you said, this doesn't feel in my heart like the right fit. And I feel some compassion magic, which is really that like love and acceptance and holding that space of pure self-love for your clients, right? That they love themselves. That's how you get them to embrace the design that really they need. And so if you have a client who's not willing to do that because they're just not there yet, or they're not in that conversation at all, then it wouldn't be a good love match for you.
Yeah. And Darla, hearing you say it in those words, I had that feeling again. I used to say yes, 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 because I felt bad of saying no. I felt guilty. If I say no, then I'm not doing this thing that they're expressing that they need or want. And I felt this obligation to give. And I can see now that in saying yes, I wasn't necessarily doing them a service. I was actually doing them a disservice in saying yes when they weren't fully committed or fully ready, or when it didn't feel like a good match. And so in saying no, I think that it is loving, because it allows them the opportunity to move on and find their right fit.
Yeah. And I will add, so being a business coach and working with clients over the years who go get things designed and come back and they're like, there's so much mismatched design being created because people aren't in their power and in their potency like you are today, right? And so, I recognize this isn't actually what they need, but I'm going to give it to them because they say they want it. But then they get it and they're not actually happy either. And all the hours wasted creating things that aren't potent because the designer's not in their magic, right? And it can be the client doesn't want the magic here. They're not ready for it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be a combination of either or. And I have to say, at the beginning of my business, a lot of my work was like that. It was, okay, somebody comes to me because they need whatever they need, and I create it, and it'll be a beautiful design. But if it's not in alignment with who they want to be, how they want to show up, they might not even know how they want to show up. That disconnect, it does something to the way that the design is presented, to the way it's delivered. And so, that's part of the boundaries that I have now, right? Of saying no. You seem like a great person, but this, at least professionally, this isn't going to happen because I know that it's not in your best interest, and maybe not even in mine, right? If we're not on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I love the way you highlighted that something can be expensive energetically. And so, yeah, they may be paying you, but is the exchange worth it?
Right. I have a client who once told me, not all money is good money. And I cling to that. Just because somebody is willing to pay you doesn't mean that that's necessarily a good fit. You might find that that relationship, because it's out of alignment, is costing you a lot of stress, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And I love what Rhiannon said, it can be easy. And actually, when it is easy and simple, so much more magic happens. Before Shift the Field, I was doing a lot of the heavy lifting, telling people this is how you want to show up, and figuring it out for them. I'm not doing that anymore. Instead, I'm guiding them so they can do it themselves. And in doing so, they own it. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. So, raise your hand, and Ashley, you were a client before joining our team. Raise your hand if you raised your prices through this work. Yeah. So that's a definite outcome for most people coming in the space with us at Sourced in general, right? Because we undervalue our magics in our society, whether it is the history of witches being burned. And so anything that kind of feels that way, we tone down. And, as a recovering engineer, I was told to tone down my soft skills because they weren't as valuable as my techie skills, right? Stop being so caring, basically, and, nurturing of the customers. So it takes something to own and claim that. And my goal is that we are creating, Ashley and I talked about this yesterday, that we're creating a bigger market for transformational work because collectively we're educating people about what it is and why it's valuable. I read self-help books for 10 years trying to figure out what to do with my life, unhappy in my career, feeling stuck as hell. And one transformation in the world opened up for me. Right. And before that, I could not see what I couldn't see about the career path that was right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're up to. Right. And so many people are stuck not knowing that that's available.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're about collectively. And I just wanted to presence that. So I'm going to come back to Shift the Field Live, and then I'll ask each of you for your kind of advice for people. Shift the Field Live is a 3-day experience. It happens on Zoom from my house. We set up a stage and the whole nines, and it's very experiential. And so the container starts when you register. We're doing this Facebook Live intentionally for people who are registered to have you start to be aware of these conversations in your life. A lot of times when you register, and Ashley, I'm sure you can speak to this, when you make a commitment, right, the things in your life that are in contrast to where you want to go start to show themselves. And so that may be happening for some of you. And we want you to know that's part of it. And that is the power and potency of this container at work. Shift the Field Live is right now $111 to register for this 3-day experience. So it really is an amazing value. Like, we're so committed that more people understand the foundations of transformation. That's our goal. It is at that investment until the end of the year. So you might want to get your ticket now. You actually get a complimentary copy of Shift the Field. We'll ship it as a gift to whoever you'd like. And you get entered into a drawing. We have 2 more drawings left yet this year where we're giving away fun gifts, including a Bring a Friend ticket to Shift the Field Live, and one other thing that I can't remember that we're still gifting this year. Ashley's thinking about it too. So the link is somewhere in the chat below this video if you'd like to register. You can also go to shiftthefield.com/live. If you go directly there, though, you miss that book, give the book away page. So look for the link below. So setting intention. So we have, a month and a half until we get to Shift the Field Live, a little more. And the power of intentionality is when you're saying, this is what I want to create. By the way, it doesn't have to be like a X dollar business, or it might be, but it might be, I want to be self-expressed in my work. It might be, I know there's a branding up level that wants to happen. There's a lot of intentions you could set. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to try to control it. But when you put that out there, again, anything that's not that is going to start to come up, and then we work with that together in the way we design the experience. So, Rhiannoch, what advice would you give to someone who's registered? And if someone's not registered or they're thinking of bringing a friend, who's a good invite?
Well, for someone who's registered, my advice is to really get present with your intention. And such a good time to be doing this. We're having this conversation on the solstice. We're coming into the end of the year. It's such a great time to be looking towards 2022 and kind of think, what is it that I want to experience? And how can this incredible 3-day retreat really amplify that intention? So I know for me, it's like, I really want to be receptive in 2022, and I want to really receive support in my business. For anyone that's not registered, honestly, this is an unmissable opportunity if you're interested in transformation and upping your transformation and taking that to the next level and building that into all aspects of your business. This is an incredible opportunity, and it's really life-changing in so many ways. So I think if you're looking to increase your business or the depth of your transformation or how it all fits together, that confidence to really claim who you are, it's such a powerful experience. So yeah, really deeply transformational and very just so much valuable context for this whole industry. It's incredible. I don't think there's anything else out there like it that I know. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we love to weave in the practical business with the magical. And it's harder to find that, right? One or the other is available in lots of places, but the way we weave it, I feel really proud of. So thank you for that. And also thank you for sharing your intention about being receptive and receiving more support. So Ashley and I will be holding that now for the next couple of months. Awesome. Jess, Lenny, how about you? What advice would you give for people registered? And then who's a great invite?
So the advice I would give to anyone registered is to do your very best to create a nice space for yourself where you can be totally in the experience. I think when we think of retreats, we think of being in some island somewhere where you're away from technology or whatever. I've never been in a retreat yet, but that's what I imagine on an in-person retreat. But that's what I imagine, right? That you're like somewhere with palm trees and away from your computer and your TV. Since you're going to be at home doing this virtually, the best advice I can give you is try to shut out any distractions and be present. Because when you show up without those distractions and fully show up, you will get so much out of it. You'll connect with so many people. You might even make some friends. You'll leave with a ton of sticky notes and ideas and inspiration and all the feels. But it's hard to do that if you're washing dishes and multitasking and there's a TV in the background or whatever. So that would be my advice to those that are already registered. And for those that aren't registered yet, or if you want to invite a friend, I would say invite the friend where it's not so obvious that they could benefit from the from the transformation, or that they need it, or maybe they're afraid of it, because I think of myself and how I wasn't sure I was going to get anything out of this, and it changed my life. And so I would invite the friend that maybe is shy about making changes, and see if that'll open up something.
That's amazing. And it's so much better if you have a person in your life that you can share your transformation with, right? And we don't know. If I've learned anything over the years, we don't know who's secretly reading, Brene Brown, or listening to Abraham Hicks, or that we really don't know. So I love that advice. And the idea of shutting out the distractions makes me want to just highlight everything we do here at Sourced is experiential. There's always some element that draws you in to presence, right? That has you really feel, see, hear, and know what's true for you. Your truth that's hidden from your view is really the key to transformation. So we design that into everything we do. And so this is not the event that you want to listen to in the background, or, I've been to those where it's like, okay, this is information and I'm making notes, and but this is really the more you can be fully present, the more you'll take out of it. Because in that moment, like Jaslini was saying with that conversation we had, in that moment, in that one moment, if you can really surrender and receive your truth, it's like that changes everything. That is the transformation. And if we're in resistance to it, which happens, and that's okay, then we're not able to get the same value.
Yeah. And Darla, I want to add to that there were moments where you were working with other people, and even though you were talking to them and not directly to me, in observing and being and listening in on that conversation and watching the reactions and everything going on, that can be really impactful too. So yes. Witnessing other people's transformation can turn something inside of you, and that wouldn't be possible if you're not fully paying attention and fully immersed in the yes. experience and multitasking. So it's really special to see what it does to you, but also seeing what it does to other people, and then how that comes full circle and does something to you again, or yes. as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. We say, shift one person and shift the room. Because when we're in the container, we're all energetically connected. So if you're connected in with your intention, if someone opens up the possibility of love or freedom, you get that. You yes. get that by transmission. And that is the beauty of gathering, and in particular, gathering in a community of really committed people. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to go to Ashley, and I'm going to ask my team to pop the link in the chat one more time. Ashley, what's present for you? What advice would you give around setting intention? And I know you're there through the thing, through our portal. We have a whole experiential portal where they can message you during the event, and you were on site at the last event. So what is present for you about advice for people registered and who to invite?
Yeah. Well, part of what's present for me is the amazing people that show up in this community. So even if you're watching this and you see these badass women in front of you talking and sharing their magic and their business, you want to be in the space with them and all the other people like them that come. So the sooner you put yourself into that community, the better, the more you can start engaging and playing and reaping the benefits of just being in the field together. So there's that. The person who
and it's not all women either, by the way.
No. Women here, and no, we already have men who have said yes and are coming. So men, women. and non-binary and all the things. About who to invite, I immediately think of, I feel like we all know that person who is just incredible, and they don't quite see it, right? We know that we see them do their work, we see how they are with people, we see the difference, and it's like, and yet we know they're undercharging, or like they could be having even more impact if they just owned that. I think about that person, like have that person be in the room with you. And
undercharging, or like Jazz Lenny was saying, like, I don't have time for a tear, right? They're too busy.
Overworking. Yeah. Burning out. And then maybe also just that person that you love, that you can turn to when the real stuff is happening in your life. And they're the kind of person that you want to share your transformational journey with. Maybe it's your business bestie, or that person you call up to brainstorm about something. That person is also a great person to have in the room with you.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, I know we could riff all day on transformation and humans and the difference we're making in the world and magic and all of that. I thank you so much, Rihanna, Jazleni, Ashley. Thank you for being here. More importantly, thank you for who you are in the world. It's like when we get together, it's easier. When you're out there in the world, you're taking a stand. You're holding the potent knowing that more is available, that magic is possible, that source is always with us. And that's what's going to shift the energy on this planet. So thank you for who you are when you're out there in each of those conversations where you've maybe had to take a deep breath to speak the truth that needs to be spoken, even though you're not sure how it will be received. Like those moments, that's changing the world. So thank you. Thank you for your generosity in being here. And we'll see you at Shift the Field Live.
Thank you, Darla. And thank you for your amazing work. And Ashley, just Lydia, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.